How easily can you get off the floor? Find out what it has to do with how long you live and 3 things you can do about it. Welcome to Movement Project, guys. Tim Rumenter, Doctor of Physical Therapy. In almost 2 decades of PT practice, I've helped thousands of patients stay out of the hospital and improve their lifespan, also known as their mortality, by working on and improving the movements we're about to cover in this video. Getting off the floor without using your hands gained popularity back in 2012 when a researcher in Brazil published results showing that the ability to get off the floor correlated with your lifespan. They basically concluded that aerobic or cardiovascular health conditions are super important for life expectancy and well-being. Non-aerobic conditions are just as important, if not more important, when we look at lifespan. How did they do that? Well, they did a test that took into account flexibility, balance, and strength, just by simply having somebody sit on the floor and try to stand up without using their hands. Why do these things even matter when it comes to quality and longevity of life? Well, first of all, if you struggle with these pieces, your chances of falls and orthopedic injuries goes way up. The CDC estimates that the number of falls in our country is going to double by the time it gets to the year 2030. At the current death rate, that means 61,230 people will die in the year 2030 alone, just in the United States. The time to do something about it is right now.
Let's do it. Here are the exact instructions that were given to participants. Without worrying about the speed of the movement, try to sit and then rise from the floor using the least support you believe is needed. All right, make sure you have a 6 by 6 foot area and you can score up to 10 points. 5 points on the way down and 5 points on the way up. You're going to lose a point each time you use your hand. You're going to lose a half point each time you lose your balance on the way up or down. You're going to lose a point each time you use your knee. And you're going to lose a point each time you use the side of your leg or your forearm. All right, let's give it a try. Now, when you're doing the test, make sure you take your shoes off like they did in the study. It makes a huge difference because it brings your center closer to the floor. Check out how much better my movement is without shoes. What really grabbed the headlines were the conclusions from the study. So they followed 2,002 people, ages 51 to 80, for an average of 6 years. The people that scored 7 or less were 2 times more likely to die in the next 5 years, and those that scored 3 or less were 5 times more likely to die. This is similar to results from other studies where they looked at push-up strength and grip strength and correlated it with mortality.
If you can't get off the floor without your hands, or even with them, don't sweat it. Just do the exercises I'm about to show you and reach out to a movement specialist to help you literally get back on your feet. Oh yeah, and that number, that's the number of people that have fallen since we started this short video.
If you've fallen and you can't get up, the first thing you want to do is just try to get up to a hands and knee position and then start to kind of slowly crawl to a nearby chair or couch and then work your way up to the couch into what we call tall kneeling and bring that foot forward. If your hip is too weak or limited, you can slide it around to the outside to get it into that position, and then you just want to kind of hike your hips up onto the couch or chair. Where we see people struggle is when they try to get up from their back. There's just not the leverage from the upper body in that position, so we want you to get to that hands and knee, and then that half kneel, drive the hip forward, both hands on the chair, up to standing. Here's another angle where you can see me using that crossbar on the chair. Use the forearm to help get a little more leverage and then push up from there. If that's too difficult for you, just look around the room, find a few pillows, and pop them on top of one another. Get to that pillow stack and then up to your chair. If that's still too difficult for you, use one of the pillows like a mini ramp to get up onto the stack and then up into the chair. If you still don't have the upper body leverage, grab something nearby. You could grab a stack of books, which will give you a little bit more upper body leverage to get you into the chair. Still go ahead and try to hike those hips on and slide into the position.
Now we don't want you to rely on that trick forever, so let's get into some exercises to improve your movement. This is the movement project after all. Trying to get up from the floor, you notice your hips really needed to be able to rotate inward. So what we're going to do is a hip rotation stretch, sometimes called a piriformis stretch, where you just bring your leg across your opposite knee and you just apply a little downward pressure on your knee and a little upward pressure on your ankle at the same time. You can start with that for 10 to 30 seconds, depending on your experience, and then build from there. Now, if you want to make this stretch more intense, you can even lean forward. You'll feel that more in your buttock. Any discomfort or sensation felt during the stretch should go away as soon as you stop.
It can be really difficult to stand up from the kneeling position, so this is a great strengthening exercise to work on your hip flexors and your glutes. Just put one foot out in front, one foot behind, and try to drive up and down about 6 inches off the ground, somewhere between 6 and 12 reps. Do this on each leg and try it 2 or 3 times a week. Moving on to our sitting strength exercise, this is going to help with that drive from the floor. The key with starting in the chair is making sure that you keep your knees wider than your feet. That's going to work your hip external rotators. The next step would be to cross the legs. Make sure you have something on either side for balance and safety. And then once you get pretty good at that exercise, you want to start to gradually drop your surface.
If the chair is too easy for you, if the floor is too difficult, you can just use something like a stool. I'm just using my daughter's balance beam to give you an idea, a few inches off the ground. Now, no difficulty at all. And I can do my sets of 6 to 12 reps to get stronger. And then from here you could drop down lower to 1 or 2 pillows. Just want to find a height that's a challenge for you to work in that 6 to 12 rep range, and then try to do that 2, maybe 3 times a week. There it is, gang. You found out if you can get off the floor without using your hands, how it relates to your mortality, and some things that you can do about it to improve. If you had any difficulty performing any of the movements today, make sure you reach out to your movement specialist to get to the bottom of the problem. Join the movement by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you never miss a future video. If you want to feel, perform, and live your best, you've got to move your best. Keep it moving.